Everything you have been told about managing overwhelm is a complete lie. They tell you to buy a new planner. They tell you to download another time tracking app. They tell you to time block your calendar, optimize your morning routine, and take a bubble bath to practice self-care. Stop. Stop listening to productivity gurus who treat your mind like a broken machine that just needs a software update. Stop taking advice from a fragile culture that thinks lighting a scented candle is the cure for existential dread. Because their advice is a scam. It is setting you up for total psychological collapse. Think about it. When you are truly overwhelmed, when the walls are closing in, does color-coding your calendar actually help? No. It just makes you hyper-aware of exactly how badly you are failing. You know this exact feeling. It hits you the moment you open your eyes in the morning. Before your feet even touch the floor, a massive, suffocating wave of anxiety crashes over your chest. You have 100 tabs open in your brain. Deadlines at work. Financial pressures. Family obligations. Unanswered emails. Expectations you are failing to meet. It feels like you are standing at the bottom of the ocean, and the water pressure is slowly crushing your ribs. You try to work, but you are paralyzed. You stare at the screen, completely frozen by the sheer volume of things you have to do. Because you don't know where to start, you do nothing. And because you do nothing, the guilt eats you alive. You numb yourself. You scroll on your phone. You distract yourself for an hour, only to snap back to reality and realize the pile of tasks has grown even larger. You are trapped in a vicious cycle of frantic panic and complete paralysis. You feel like you are dropping plates. You feel like a total fraud, terrified that everyone is about to find out you are barely holding it together. You are running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up, and your lungs are burning, and you know you are going to trip. Modern self-help looks at your bleeding, exhausted mind and tells you that you just need better time management. It tells you to make a to-do list. It tells you to take a deep breath and validate your feelings. What a pathetic, insulting delusion. This delusion convinces you that your problem is a lack of organization. It convinces you that if you just found the perfect system, the overwhelm would magically disappear. But the overwhelm is not in your calendar. The overwhelm is in your identity. You are trying to carry the weight of the entire world on shoulders that were never built for it. You are trying to control things you have absolutely no right to control. When you finally realize that overwhelm is not a scheduling problem, but a philosophical failure, everything changes. When you stop trying to manage the chaos and learn how to become completely indifferent to it, you become untouchable. If you are ready to drop the crushing weight, if you are ready to forge a mind of absolute, lethal clarity, hit that subscribe button right now. We are building an army of strategic operators, and we need your focus on the inside. Let's talk about a man who actually understood the crushing weight of reality. Let's talk about Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of the Roman Empire. He was not a podcaster sitting in an air-conditioned studio. He was the most powerful human being on the face of the earth. And his life was an absolute nightmare. He spent his reign fighting endless, brutal wars on the frozen borders of the empire. He dealt with a global plague that wiped out millions of his people. He faced betrayal from his most trusted generals. He watched his own children die in his arms. He had the economic, military, and political fate of the Western world resting squarely on his shoulders every single second of every single day. If anyone had the right to feel overwhelmed, it was him. If anyone had the excuse to have a panic attack, to burn out, to crawl into bed and hide from the world, it was Marcus Aurelius. Did he write in his journal about how stressed he was? Did he complain that he had too many emails to answer? Did he cry about needing a mental health day? No. He sat in his tent, covered in mud and blood, and wrote the meditations. Not for publication. Not for fame. He wrote them to himself. To forge his own mind into a weapon. Modern society is terrifyingly fragile. We are conditioned to break down over a flat tire. We have a mental breakdown over an angry boss. We shatter into pieces when our Wi-Fi stops working. We are taught that comfort is our birthright, and any friction is a tragedy. Marcus Aurelius would look at our modern overwhelm with deep, profound pity. He understood the ultimate weakness of the sprawling mind. He knew that overwhelm is not created by the world. Overwhelm is created entirely by you. It is a hallucination. And the Stoics refused to hallucinate. They cultivated the architecture of the inner citadel. They knew that a wise man does not try to calm the storm outside. He calms the storm inside, and lets the world rage against his walls. This is the paradigm shift you must execute immediately. This is where you stop being a frantic, drowning amateur and start being a cold, calculating master. You must stop treating your tasks as a physical weight crushing your chest. Start treating them as meaningless data points. Who are you? Are you a fragile cup of water, spilling over the moment the table is bumped? Or are you a deep ocean, where the surface may chop and violently crash, but the depths remain utterly, terrifyingly still? The Stoic secret to destroying overwhelm is not about getting more things done. Do not confuse what I am saying with a new productivity hack. Efficiency is the obsession of the clerk. Absolute alignment is the architecture of the elite. It is about the brutal, surgical elimination of your ego. It is about looking at the massive mountain of demands and coldly deciding, I am only required to take one step. True invincibility is about returning to reality. It is aligning yourself with the absolute truth that the past is dead, the future is an illusion, and the only thing that actually exists is the immediate action in front of you. So how do you actually forge this discipline? How do you train your mind to look at a crushing workload and feel absolute, ice-cold clarity? It requires ruthlessly implementing the laws of the Emperor. First, you must murder the future. Your overwhelm does not come from what you are doing right now. Read that again in your mind. Your panic is not coming from the email you are currently typing. It is not coming from the dish you are currently washing. Your overwhelm comes from the future. You are trying to carry tomorrow's burden with today's strength. You are projecting your mind forward, imagining the meeting tomorrow, the bills next week, the project next month, the ultimate failure of your entire life. You are gathering 1,000 imaginary heavy stones and piling them onto your own chest. And then you cry because you cannot breathe. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never let the future disturb you." You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. You must sever the timeline. When the panic rises, when the feeling of drowning hits, you must violently pull your consciousness back to this exact second. What is the one, singular physical action required of me right now? Is it to press a key on a keyboard? Is it to make a phone call? Is it to tie my shoes? You can always do one thing. No matter how exhausted you are, you can always take one single step. Stop looking at the mountain. Look at your boots. Look at the dirt immediately in front of your boots. Step. And then step again. When you murder the future, the massive weight instantly evaporates. You realize you were fighting a ghost. Second, you must practice the discipline of the surgical no. You are overwhelmed because you are a coward. That is the harsh truth you do not want to hear. You say yes to everything because you are desperate for approval. You agree to the meeting. You take on the extra project. You go to the event you hate. You are terrified of disappointing people. You are trading your precious life force for cheap validation. And the cost of that validation is your sanity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary?" Most of what you do, most of what you worry about, is completely unnecessary. It is fluff. It is noise. It is ego. You must take a sword to your life. You must become ruthless about what you allow into your citadel. If it does not align with your ultimate purpose, if it does not move the needle, you must reject it with cold, unapologetic finality. No is a complete sentence. No, I will not attend. No, I cannot help you with that. No, that is not my priority. People will be offended. Let them. Their offense is not your problem. Your problem is protecting the integrity of your mind. When you slice away the non-essential, you are left with a terrifying amount of clarity. You realize you were never actually too busy. You were just highly unfocused. Third, you must strip events of their emotional makeup. You are an addict to emotional dramatization. You don't just have a deadline, you have a life-ruining crisis. You didn't just make a mistake, you are an absolute failure who will end up homeless. You take a neutral, objective fact and you paint it with the darkest, most terrifying colors imaginable. Then you stare at the painting and terrify yourself. The Stoic employs the objective filter. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to look at things exactly as they are, stripped of the human story. He looked at roasted meat and said, "This is a dead bird." He looked at fine wine and said, "This is old grape juice." You must do this with your overwhelm. What is actually happening? I have a project due on Friday. That is the objective truth. If I don't finish it, my boss will be angry, I will get fired, my life will be over. That is a hallucination. Strip it down to the bones. Look at the inbox with 1,000 unread emails. They are not a monster trying to eat you. They are glowing pixels on a glass screen. They cannot touch you. They cannot harm your soul. When you remove the emotional story, the task becomes incredibly small. It goes from a life-or-death battle to a simple mechanical action. You just do it. Without the drama. Without the sighing. Without the panic. Fourth, you must sever your identity from the outcome. This is the ultimate root of your exhaustion. You believe that if you fail the task, you are a failure. You have attached your self-worth to the result. And because the result is often outside of your control, you are living in a permanent state of terror. The economy might crash. The client might say no. The algorithm might change. If your identity is tied to those things, you will always be overwhelmed, because you are trying to control the wind. The Stoic archer knows this perfectly. He draws the bow. He aims. He calculates the distance. He executes his form flawlessly. But the moment the arrow leaves his fingers, he stops caring. A gust of wind could blow the arrow off course. The target could move. He does not care. His worth is not tied to hitting the bullseye. His worth is tied entirely to whether he drew the bow correctly. You must do this with your life. You work on the project. You make the sales calls. You study for the exam. You do it with absolute, ruthless excellence. And then you let it go. You surrender the outcome to fate. If it succeeds, fine. If it fails, fine. You tell yourself, I did what was required of my character. The rest is none of my business. When you truly divorce your ego from the result, the pressure instantly vanishes. You can work 20 hours a day and feel light as a feather, because you are no longer carrying the burden of the universe's opinion. Fifth, you must practice the view from above. Your overwhelm is a symptom of arrogance. You think your problems are massive. You think your little life, your little career, your little arguments are the center of the cosmos. This intense self-absorption makes every minor inconvenience feel like a catastrophe. Marcus Aurelius countered this by zooming out. Imagine pulling your consciousness out of your body. Float up above your house. Look at your neighborhood. Float higher. Look at your city. Millions of people, all running around, all stressing over their own to-do lists, all believing their problems are the most important in the world. Float higher. Look at the earth. A tiny, insignificant speck of dust suspended in an infinite, black void. Now look at human history. Empires have risen and fallen. Billions of people have lived, suffered, worried, and died. Their names are forgotten. Their problems are dust. And in a few decades, you will be dust too. This is not meant to depress you. This is meant to set you absolutely free. Your deadline does not matter to the cosmos. Your unpaid bills do not register in the grand scheme of eternity. Your mistakes, your failures, your embarrassing moments, they are entirely, beautifully meaningless. When you realize how incredibly small you are, your overwhelm looks ridiculous. Why are you hyperventilating over a spreadsheet when you are sitting on a rock hurtling through an infinite universe? Use the vastness of space to crush your ego. When your problems are small, they are easy to solve. Sixth, you must embrace the resistance through a more fatty. You complain about the workload. You whine that life is too hard. You wish that things were easier. Why is this happening to me? This is the mindset of a victim. A victim believes the world owes them a soft bed and a frictionless existence. The Stoic operates on a completely different frequency. The Stoic practices a more fatty. A love of fate. Not just accepting the heavy burden. Loving it. When the overwhelm hits, when the tasks pile up to the ceiling, when everything is going wrong all at once. Do not shrink. Smile. Say to yourself, good. This is exactly what I needed. This is the fire that will forge my iron. A dull sword is ground against a hard stone to make it sharp. You are the sword. The crushing workload is the stone. Why are you complaining about the very thing that is making you lethal? Every difficult email, every late night, every moment of extreme pressure is an opportunity to practice virtue. It is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you cannot be broken. When you flip this switch in your brain, the paradigm reverses completely. You stop running from the chaos. You start leaning into it. You realize that the heavier the weight, the stronger the muscle becomes. You stop wishing for a lighter load, and you start demanding broader shoulders. You have been living a lie. You have been exhausting yourself trying to control the uncontrollable. You have been trading your precious life force for the illusion of safety. You have been drowning in a glass of water. It is time to stand up. It is time to shatter the delusion. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control the demands of the world. You cannot control the chaos that will inevitably arrive at your doorstep. But you have absolute, dictatorial control over your internal citadel. You can cultivate a mind so dense, so fortified, so utterly grounded in reality, that 1,000 tasks bounce off your armor like raindrops. Let the weak continue to buy planners they will never use. Let them exhaust themselves crying over burnout. Let them consume endless content about how to magically manifest a life without effort. You are walking away from the noise. You are stepping into the cold, sharp reality of the Emperor. You are choosing the path of absolute mental sovereignty. Sever the future. Strip the emotion. Execute the immediate physical action. Do the work. Forge the mind. Stand firm. And when the crushing weight of the world tries to break you, do not bend. Do not panic. Do not flinch. The world cannot overwhelm a man who requires nothing from it. Retreat into the citadel. Let the storm rage outside. You are untouchable.